Good morning. It's October the 25th. It's windy and cloudy, and it's Monday, so that means I'm walking around Wascana Creek, or along Wascana Creek. I don't really walk around a creek. So I think we'll go along the north side of the dike to start with. So I get the gimbal decided where it's going to point. There we go. It's garbage morning, and they're also working on leaves at some parts of this neighborhood. And there goes the school bus. So this is a little earlier than I sometimes walk. Hopefully I won't have any, well, it's kind of the time I normally walk, but it's the first time I've walked at this time for a few days. Hopefully I won't have any mic problems today. Yesterday, my lapel mic popped off while I was walking, fell on the sidewalk, and I didn't notice it till somebody said they couldn't hear me. Fortunately, I backtracked and found it about half a block behind me, reconnected. And later somebody said the sound went off, but somebody else said it didn't, so I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, mics are charged, gimbal's charged, I'm charged. It's 3 degrees, so pretty cool with the wind. Very fallish. I like these sorts of days, actually. I like gray autumn days with wind. I don't know why. I feel like I'm in some sort of movie where something interesting is about to happen, I think is what it is. We'll go this way and get on the dike on this side of the creek. Or possibly go up the footbridge, but stay on this side of the dike. Maybe I'll do that. Just about a week until the release of Shapers of Worlds Volume 2, the anthology I kickstarted, featuring authors who were guests of the second year of my Aurora award-winning podcast, The World Shapers, www.theworldshapers.com, science fiction and fantasy short stories. Many of my authors are bestsellers, international bestsellers, award winners, all that good stuff. 24 short stories, 140,000 words of fiction. And it all goes live next Tuesday. But you can pre-order now at www.books2read. That's the numeral 2, books2read.com/Shapers of Worlds 2. And again, that's the numeral 2. books2read.com, Shapers of Worlds 2. So check it out. Henderson Terrace there. I've already started reaching out to authors for my third year. So I've had people like Cory Doctorow providing a reprint, Kat Rambo says she'll do a new story. Walter John Williams is providing something. Sebastian Castell. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but already shaping up to be another excellent anthology, assuming I can successfully fund it. I have to kickstart it because I want to pay professional rates, 10 cents a word Canadian. And so you can imagine 140,000 words. Now, reprints get half that, but still. And I did cap it at like the equivalent of 6,000 words. I asked for 5,000 word stories. If they went over 6,000 words, I capped it at $600 for new stories. But still, that's where all the money went. That and the printing and the mailing out. I so far have not made a cent on the entire project. Hopefully going forward, as it sells, I will gradually make some money. Certainly that's what's happened with the first one. It's still selling, which came out about a year ago, and it sells about $1 a day on Amazon and a few others on other platforms. So I just played with the keywords on it, see if that makes a difference going forward. And I have lots of other projects to work on, so half my problem is deciding what to do next. Other than walk, I always know I've got to walk. All the gardens are looking much more wintry now. The flowers are gone. Leaves falling from the trees. Wind blowing. Shouldn't be too long before I come out and walk in snow, which, may be more exciting for viewers than it is for me. If I have any viewers, nobody has said hello yet this morning. It is a Monday. There's that big new one that's being built right next to a big one that already exists. I've been in that one. This one's brand new. They've been building it all summer as I've walked by here. People are living in it now, and they're working on this, whatever they're doing to the yard here, landscaping and fence, and it's a big yard. Right up against the dike. Hey, we'll look down into it when we walk along the dike here. So this time we'll stay on this side. We'll go along the dike. I don't know, I'm thinking take a slightly different route back just to vary it as I do each Monday. Part of it is always along the creek, but then it kind of varies after that. Water looks quite ruffly today. None of that mirror smooth stuff I've had on a few walks, last few walks. Wind's behind me right now. This is called the bowl around here. It's part of the flood control system, but in the winter it's prime tobogganing. You can sort of even see the tracks from tobogganing. I used to live right down that street. That's Garnet Street. So I lived about most of a block from right here when I first moved to this neighborhood. I guess we don't quite look down. They're not quite up to the dike because there's that new house over there that we saw the front of. Sort of realized the dike curves this way. See the wind blowing the water there. Wind blowing the trees. In case you didn't believe me about it being windy. I do have a little fuzzy thing you're supposed to put on the microphone when it's windy, but it's badly made. It doesn't actually fit on the microphone. They must have bought it from some other supplier, and nobody ever bothered to look to see if you could actually put it on the microphone. But you can't. Not as made. Maybe if I snipped it a little bit, it would go on, but then it would probably fall off. So I have this little foam cap, which isn't quite as effective at blocking wind, but it's better than nothing. It's really designed to stop pops when you're up close to the mic. But you won't get those anyway with the mic where it is, so. Kind of muddy up here, muddier than I was expecting. I stay on the more gravelly part. That's another new house, newish house there, big deck. Yeah, and that's my street that I used to live on. This is just the backside of it. There's a big one here too. When we come back, I'll probably walk on the path on the other side there. Lots of windows to take advantage of the view. I have already encountered somebody with a dog. There's always at least one. No matter what the weather's doing, people have to walk their dogs. Just like no matter what the weather's doing, I have to walk my YouTube viewers. Out of the wind, it feels quite warm actually. Too warm with the hat, but I think if I take it off and then I go back to the wind, I'll wish I hadn't taken it off. And I will find the wind again somewhere along here for sure. For sure. Elphinstone Street Bridge there. A distant beeping sound of garbage collection. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can. Water looks higher. Well, we did have rain. That would make sense. It all depends too on how much they let out of the lake. Because the dam is actually upstream from here. On the bridge, the Albert Street Bridge is the dam that makes the lake. So how much water they let through determines how much water is down here. Right now it's quite high, it looks like. Higher than it has been anyway. Looking at the weir there, it's being flowed right over, so. There's the wind again. There's the weir. Definitely higher than the last time I came this way. I went to school with somebody named Weir. Went on to be a principal bassoonist at the, I think it was the San Francisco or Los Angeles Symphony. Robbie Weir. I was in band with him, obviously. Don't usually cross the bridge here, but I'm going to go up here to get to the crosswalk. So when I come back, I think I'll be in that neighborhood over there, and then I'll end up by walking along the creek on this side. There's the wind on the bridge for sure. horseshoe pitches. Regina Horseshoe Club, new members welcome. Oh yeah, full-blown wind there for sure. You can actually feel the wind pushing against the phone like a sail. It's blowing it. It's actually blowing it out of position there on the gimbal. Keep it down a little closer to my chest, maybe it'll get more sheltered. Still nobody has said hello this morning. Everybody sleeping in? There's somebody with a dog. Now I'm in shelter again. Walking along the creek, heading to another footbridge. I'll walk over in this neighborhood as I come back, I think. Today, I haven't been over there for a while. Around Sheldon Williams Collegiate. Again, as soon as I'm out of the wind, I think I'd like to take my hat off. But then when I was in the wind, I was glad I had it. So it's a conundrum. Oh, there's people. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Val. I come along it every Monday, pretty much. I walk along the creek in some fashion. The creek is quite ruffled this morning. You can see the trees over there, and maybe all the trees blowing away. Morning. Oh, maybe I will take my hat off. My head's sweaty and itchy. I have to put it back on again, but maybe not as I keep walking. Our next bridge. You hear the wind. It's kind of sheltered here, but I can really hear the wind on the other side of the creek. Where we're headed, probably on the creek itself. It will be breezy too. I mean on the bridge itself, above the creek. Yes, it is. So here we go, looking east. And looking west. And carry on. Mightily rejecting the impulse to once again sing Carry On My Wayward Son. It's hard though, once I say carry on, not to sing Carry On My Wayward Son. Carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. And there, I gave in to temptation. But I feel better for it. Wascana Park. For some reason the M is missing. Over there is the Balkwell Center, which I won't be walking by today, but often have in the past. Sports field over here, soccer/football. I like to use it more for soccer. I've seen people play soccer on it. I've never seen anybody play football on it. And the path that winds merely to be scenic. Part of the Trans-Canada Trail. If I were hiking across the country, I would be on this path at this moment. I'm probably thinking, I've left this too late because when I hit the mountains, it'll be dead of winter. So if I were across Canada hiking, I would probably be figuring on quitting in the not too distant future. Hi, Miriam in India. Windy, cool day here, 3 degrees. And the wind's blowing a pretty good clip. Lots of the trees are leafless now. A few are still hanging on. That one gave up. That one's still hanging on. The willows seem to keep their leaves well into the fall. I guess it was just a year ago I was jogging this. I did it for, 6 weeks or something. But my knees wouldn't take it. So I jog and then I wouldn't be able to do anything for 2 weeks, and that didn't seem very conducive to exercise. So I decided jogging was perhaps in my past. Not that it was ever in my past because I never really did it. I was happy I was able to do it, without keeling over. But then I switched to walking in the spring when I started doing these live stream walks, and that has kept me motivated better than anything else to get out and walk every day. And I was pleased when we were in Newfoundland that on the hike up to the Fairyland Lighthouse from Fairyland, which is up a hill, over a couple of hills to get to the headland, I was right out in front. Actually, there were 2 of us from Regina, and we were both in front on that walk. Even though we don't really do hills in Regina. And then when we left, I left everybody behind because I just settled into this kind of speed, which I do on these walks, and it was mostly downhill at that point, so away I went. Oh, here come more doggies. Dog walkers, that's what I was actually going for. I always run into them on the path. Morning. There's the creek now. Again, we are right beside it. We're going to go over it momentarily is the plan, because I think I will go across it on the Pasco Street bridge this time, go down the other side, and then work my way back through the neighborhood around Sheldon Williams Collegiate over there. And then rejoin the bike path for the last stretch back along the creek. There's more rain and snow in the forecast for this week, so we'll see how that plays out on my walks. I guess I can go under the bridge and come up the other side. So maybe I'll do that for interest's sake. Okay, I'm being slow. Under the bridge, Pasco Street Bridge. Now we'll go up the bank on this side and cross it on top. I have to change arms. My arm's getting sore this morning for some reason. All right, I'll go around here. And then you can go across the bridge on top. Why did the walk across the bridge? To get to the other side. Saskatchewan Express over there I've talked about before. Former school. Those apartment buildings I've walked by more than once. All right, I'll put it back in my right hand, which feels more natural. There's the creek looking toward the Louvain Bridge. Down there, there's another weir, which we'll see in a minute as I walk down this side of the creek on the dike. This is Pasco Street, if you're following along at home. And then we'll walk over here into this neighborhood as we turn and start back to the east. Excuse my throat clearing. Bit of a frog. You can see there's a bit of a weir here too, which actually makes kind of a waterfall. A real waterfall, unlike the one in Waterfall Park, which is really a fountain. go up on this little hill here. So again, there's the Louvain. Clearly at one point there was a road, possibly a bridge back there where the weir is, before the Louvain was built. Here's my guess, just from the way things have shaped up here. Garbage truck coming down this way. So the airport's over there, sort of industrial park over there, and like FedEx is right in front of us, for example. Office buildings. There's a curling rink over there I've walked by. There's the bridge. And looking back this way, there's Mosaic Stadium in the distance, the White Dome. And the creek, and the path we were on a few minutes ago. I've walked down the alley before. I think I'll go back to the street today. I don't usually walk down the street, I walk down the alley, so that'll actually be more newer. Don't even know what this street is called. Presumably it carries on from whatever's on the other side. Edward Street. Oh, well, how appropriate. It's my street. I'd forgotten that. It's nice of them to name a street after me. It must have been me. It couldn't have been, a king or something like that. Even though I hadn't been born when this street was built. I'm sure they had me in mind. That's actually kind of pretty. The yellow fire hydrant with the color of the leaves on the hedge behind it. All right, Edward Street. I may have to come back here more often just because it has my name on it. There is not a Willett Street. No prominent Willets have ever lived in Regina, except me. There is a street, Goodfellow, I don't know if it's a crescent or a bay or street, which is named after my wife's grandfather, Samson J. Goodfellow, whose First World War memoirs I published. One Lucky Devil, they're called. If you go to shadowpawpress.com, you can see those, or any bookstore, you'll find them. A rather nicely landscaped yard. Not at its best now with everything having frosted, but this is an asphalt covered sidewalk. I don't know how they decide when they're going to do that. Now up here, I could go back over to Pasco, but it's busier, so I think I'll stick to Edward until it curves around down at the end here. Tiny little houses. Morning, Charles. It's a windy morning, 3 degrees. And gray. That's a very pink vehicle. Must be Mary Kay. Somebody who's into Mary Kay. Now, well, I could go that way. I'll stay on Edward Street. This is Edward Street. It's named after me. So I think I should walk its length. Well, this part of its length. Nice wide street. House for sale. I would guess 60s for this neighborhood, looking at the houses, maybe even 50s. Mostly still the older houses. I don't see a lot of the new ones, but everything is looks like a nice little neighborhood. And not a lot of traffic on it because it doesn't go anywhere. Pasco Street is to our left. The Louvan's to our right. And there's just this one street on this side of Pasco, and it doesn't go through. It just curves around like a crescent, even though it's not called a crescent. A nice full spruce. Oh, here's a good one too. They stand out more in a neighborhood where there are not a whole bunch of them next to each other, or other big trees as much around them. Nice orange hedge. As tall as I am, that one. And then some. And it carries on around the corner. Oh, it just goes on and on. Oh, made it past. That's what we were missing on the other side, in case you're wondering. You probably weren't. There's a crosswalk up here, so I should be able to cross in relative safety. This is Pasco Street again. If you're going to the airport, you'd go to that light and turn right. Well, I've known other pink Jeep owners from Mary Kay. I don't know that that vehicle was a Mary Kay, but it's very odd to see that color that's not associated with Mary Kay. I may stop and put my hat back on because I'm now walking into the wind, so give me a moment. I was slightly discombobulated. Oh, near the wind caught it. Blew it out of alignment. There we go. Straight into the wind now. Whew. This will take us by the school up here, if I go that way, and I guess I will, because that's the way I chose to come. See the wind. Coffee waiting for me at home will feel good after this one. It'll be restful. Next big thing today, we have wasps in the house, and there's pest control people coming this afternoon to Try to track them down and eliminate the last of them. They will freeze out, most likely. Well, almost certainly. But that could still be a while. And meanwhile, they're finding their way into our bathroom, which is very annoying. This is not Sheldon Williams Collegiate. Which is the high school. Not unless I'm completely turned around, it's not. Looks too small. Yeah, Sheldon Williams is over there, where all the cars are parked. So I'm actually coming behind it. That's where my daughter would have gone to high school if we hadn't sent her to Luther College High School. It's our neighborhood high school. She did do her band over there at Sheldon Williams. Actually, we'll turn left because I do want to go left. That way I can walk in front of it. So this, I'm sure it was a school. I'm not sure what it is now. This is Sheldon Williams. Her band, which is called Swamp, the Sheldon Williams Area Music Program, Swamp, rehearsed here, so I brought her here quite regularly for a while. And she's had concerts then, would have been in their auditorium. So over the years, I've been in there quite a few times for this and that. Front of the school, 50s I would guess it was built. I've never looked it up. I'm sure there are students in there right now looking out the window and wondering what I'm doing. Because I'm more interesting than whatever the teacher is saying, potentially. I have a nice big spruce at this end too. Take the curving street in front of me to head back toward the creek. Say goodbye to Sheldon Williams Collegiate. Somebody who had discovered my video yesterday said he walked those streets and I kept up a brisk pace. This feels like a normal pace. I have long legs. This will curve us back around to the creek again. Now it's sheltered, and I'm feeling too warm once more. Handy place to live if you have a kid going to Sheldon, that's for sure. Oh, good. In school zone. I can speed up again. Don't have to keep it under 30 kilometers an hour. Another little free library. I keep thinking I should bring out some of my stock of books that I need to get rid of and start putting them into these little free libraries as I go by. I could bring a bag someday and do that. Probably get rid of half a dozen in a day. Yeah, something like that. That's what the Apple app tells me anyway. Although it does it in kilometers. There's the footbridge again. It's 5K around the park, around the lake, and I do a little bit more than that, and I do that in basically an hour, so 5 to 6K an hour on that walk. That's without really trying to walk fast. When I was just walking for exercise, the pace would have been more like that. I don't walk quite that fast with the gimbal because I'd get a little out of breath. It makes it hard to keep up the conversation. So, more like that. These are interesting. I guess it's a duplex. Clearly it's a duplex. It's the only one quite like that I've seen. Now there's the creek, but since I walked on that path going the other way, I'm staying on this side until we get down to the elephant stop. They have a nice view out there front, over the park and the creek. Clearly they have some Halloween stuff going on, but it's mostly deflated at them. Except for the ghosts in the tree. Take my hat off again. There's a little Halloweening going on their porch. All right, across here. Go from Les Sherman Park to Kinsman Park. Well, I'm sure they also deflated them because of the wind today, even if they did have them up during the day. But yeah, they are mostly deflated at night, those things. I mean, during the day. And inflated at night. Okay, into Kinsman Park. By the baseball diamonds. Softball diamonds, really, most of them, but it's what's played on there most often, I would think. Not that I've seen anybody playing anything on them recently, or ever this time of day. Not the time to come by to see that. Jim Young Field, presumably not named after the astronaut. Here comes Walker. Then we have Ted Watfield. I don't know who these people are, but they got fields named after them. Morning. There were some severe floods back in the 70s before they built that dike on the other side. And we're on a dike here, so generally speaking, no. Oh, back there, across the street, possibly it might. We haven't had a bad flood spring for a while. It always depends on how fast the snow melts and how much of it there was and how high the water was before freeze up, and a lot of imponderables. There was a year when we had sort of tons and tons of snow, and we were convinced our basement would flood. We bought a pump, which we'd never had before, and then nothing came of it. Pump has never been used. We still have it if we ever need it, but it's never been used. We even bought a wet vac, which we've never used. But in the 70s, it didn't quite reach our house, but the neighborhood closer to the creek from us flooded severely. And that's when they built the dike I was walking on the other side, and possibly this one too, I don't know. Wasn't here then. So I was never along here before these dikes existed. This is the nicest field with the stands and a commentary booth, and there's dressing rooms and snack bars over here, and even a batting cage here. And up here is the waterfall park, but there is no waterfall, as I've said before. It's just a water feature. Picnic area down there. We're flooding in Weyburn, where I'm from. In the 70s, we had severe flooding, and because we had record snowfall, because the climate was changing and an ice age was coming, we were told. But that's what I remember, is filling or helping sandbag downtown as part of our school kids. We bussed in high school and helped with sandbagging and stuff. One of the stupidest things I ever did, I was standing on a sandbag dike and somebody was coming along, and I thought the water was not very deep, so I would just step off the dike, and I stepped off and it was like waist deep or more. So that was a shock and a very stupid thing to do. But hey, I was probably 14, maybe 15. There's the creek again. On this side of the creek, I've seen the water come up over the path further down, but it does slope pretty quickly up to the road and beyond. And where it was the worst, there is a berm that has an opening in it for a road but can easily be sandbagged. So even if it might get over the bank here, that's a fairly steep slope up to the road. If it flooded at that height, that would be catastrophic, but I doubt that's even a 1 in 500 year prediction. Or possibility. The gold willow over there is always hangs on its leaves. I think it's a willow. Not a weeping willow, but I think it's a willow. Okay, back over our old familiar footbridge. So we leave the Trans-Canada Trail. Cyclists dismount. I don't think I've ever seen a cyclist do that, but that's what the sign says. Here's the creek. Looking to the left. Looking to the right. Yeah, as a science fiction writer, in the 70s, I read several stories about the impending ice age. You know, the glaciers were dancing on Boston or something like that. That was one of the preferred apocalyptic scenarios at the time. Nuclear war, of course, is always at the top of the list. Again, all these bushes were cut down, or trimmed way down. At the beginning of the year, they were up over my head, and then they trimmed them down for safety reasons. So there's a clear view of the path from the other side in front of these houses. So it wasn't secluded up here. At least I assume that's why they did it. Nobody told me, that's just a guess. Or they just thought they were overgrown and ugly, I don't know. But I would think it had more to do with keeping lines of sight open on the path here. So there's snow in the forecast this week, so we'll see if it's actually white someday when I come out. It's still about freezing during the day, so it's unlikely to stick yet. We haven't had what usually happens is suddenly there's a really sharp temperature break, and all of a sudden the lows are dropped 10 degrees Celsius, so it'll be like minus 12 or minus 15 or something at night, and not recovering above freezing during the day, and then you get snow and it sticks and stays. And then there's generally snow on the ground in one quantity or another for the rest of the winter. Occasionally there'll be a thaw in December that will get rid of snow we've had for several weeks. And even a January thaw is not unheard of. But I believe the long-range forecast is this is a La Nina year, which usually means extra cold winter for us. So, oh boy, we'll see if that plays out as I walk. It can be too cold for me to walk for an hour, rarely too cold for me to at least go out around the block or something, so I'll try to keep going. As I said before, down to about minus 20, which is minus 4 Fahrenheit. I'm usually okay if I dress warm. You do put out a lot of heat when you're walking. It's really your face and ears and nose you have to cover. The rest of you is often toasty warm. Possibly your feet, but even when you're walking, they stay warm too. Again, this is the house I like, with the sort of Bavarian look with the turret entrance. I don't know how well the battery will last on the phone or the gimbal in the cold. I don't know if the gimbal can handle the cold at all, if it'll just quit working. All things I will find out. Well, that could have something to do with it too, for sure. Maybe it's just not good for the dike to have really tall bushes on it. I don't know, like I said, I never asked. It never stops me from thinking I know what's going on now. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. There are some things so stupid that only smart people can convince themselves that they're true. All those sorts of things. Okay, almost to our stop sign up here as we walk up Bertalic. It's another little free library. Again, I should come out with a bag of my books and that I want to get rid of. I have some that I can't really sell anymore because they've been superseded by subsequent editions. I could put them out. Yes, exactly. I am sometimes mistaken, but never in doubt. I think that describes me to a T. All right, here we are at my Angus Crescent stop sign. So here I will stop. Thanks for walking with me, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.